everybody, how you doing? A very warm welcome back to Wi-Fi Sheep right here on YouTube with me, Tom, and a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. I hope all is well. So today we're going to do another product review. We don't normally do these on the channel, and trust me, I am normally inundated with offers from various companies all over the world to showcase and review their products. Most of the time they're irrelevant, so things like potted plants and cat beds are not really my thing. But once in a while I get an offer, mainly from a tech firm, for a product that I think looks really interesting or really cool. Today is one of those times, and we'd like to welcome today's sponsor, which is AndyCine.com, and they wanted me to have a look at the Wimaxit M728 7-inch touchscreen display monitor for the Raspberry Pi and other HDMI input devices. It sounded really interesting, and I do actually have a need for a decent flat screen LCD panel that's portable. So I jumped at the opportunity to have a look at this, and the product arrived just before Christmas. So in that special period between Christmas and New Year, I thought perfect opportunity for us to do an unboxing and take a look. So let's take a look at the product in question, and here it is. An LCD display portable monitor from Wimaxit. And I have to be honest with you, although it is very nicely packaged, it's very neutral. Usually with these sort of products, especially the ones that come out of China, they generally start printing all sorts of things on the boxes and boasting and screaming that they do this and that. And generally with the cheaper stuff, it tends to be a lie. I find with the slightly better value stuff, or the stuff that's been better made and professionally made, they generally are quite neutral and nuanced about what it does. So this is actually a good sign. Let's start from the side of the box. So here we have, it's a Raspberry Pi 432 laptop PC Wimax. It's a 17-inch touchscreen monitor made in China and distributed by AndyCine.com. Okay. So the box, by the way, it's got a nice weight to it. It's not overly heavy, but it's not light. So let's have a look inside. And we've got a layer of protective backing material. Take that out. And here is actually the main unit. Just very carefully take that out. So this is the back. That's the front. So, oh, there you are. I can see me in the camera now. Hello. Yeah, and that's got a really nice depth to it. And there's the PCB here. Let's turn that around. PCB on the back, and it's got a number of different connectors and functions on it. So we've got two full-size HDMI inputs. We've got USB here for touch and power. Additional touch plugs are here. We've got backlight and volume control. We've got an phono or earphone audio out. And we even have a little plug here for a fan. And I believe we also have the ability to plug in some speakers into this. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. But overall, so far, looking very nice. Let's put that to one side. And let's take this layer out. Okay, underneath we've got a cleaning cloth from AndyCine, which is very nice. We've got a product card from Wimaxit. And we've got the manual itself, which, I'll be honest with you, considering how some of these English language manuals that come out of China usually have really bad English, the English in this, as far as I can see, reads very well. It makes perfect sense, and it all seems to work really well. It also talks about what you can use it for, so it supports things like PS4, Xbox 360, I assume it would be Xbox One and Xbox Series X as well. Switch, so Nintendo Switch would work, and of course Raspberry Pi, which is what it's designed for. It also talks about the other clone boards, so Banana Pi, various Ubuntu operating systems as well. So yeah, it's actually looks like it's got quite a nice supporting range, and the manual itself is very good. What's nice here is, if I just show you, it actually has some instructions about where to download the various Linux images for it, and it then gives a setup here for the config.txt files that you get with Raspberry Pi images, and it talks about setting it up in such a way that it works with the monitor. So we will need to do that when we test it, but it's all here and it's not a problem to do. So yeah, that seems really good. It even talks about how to burn the image and using WinImager for sdcard.org and formatters. So yeah, it's been well thought out, this. That's actually really impressive. Let's just have a look in the bottom. So we'll lift this final layer out, and we get some cables. We get HDMI and USB to micro USB in there. And we also get this, which is a series of adapters. There's even a little screwdriver tool, and it has all the various adapters. There's some speakers from the looks of it, and I think we've actually got some feet or some stands to get the monitor to stand up, which is great. So I think this is probably what we're going to get into next. I'll just use a piece of the foam packing so we don't scratch up the screen. Let's just turn it back over, because I want to show you a really interesting feature which I've not seen on displays like this before. You'll notice we've got screw mounting points here and here, and also here. And if you look at these here, don't they look suspiciously like the mounting points for a Raspberry Pi? Well, it just so happens I've got here a Raspberry Pi 4, and almost, just about, it would actually mount just there, which I think is actually very interesting. So we might actually be able to attach a Pi board directly to the back of the unit if we wanted to. So let's just take a look in the bag, see what we've got. So all done in nice anti-static bags. Here are some adapters, and you see here, so it's got the 3B adapters for Raspberry Pi, and it's got a set of 4B adapters for Raspberry Pi, which is really cool. And then we've got a mini screwdriver, we've got some fixings, some screws, and I think those are the feet, so we'll look at those in a minute. And we've got 2 speaker blocks, which look really cool. So let's take those out and have a look. Again, I've never actually seen a monitor that's like this. It's actually come with sound support. That's quite something. So here we are. Okay. Oh, I see. So it's self-adhesive, like that. And that sticks like that on the back. And then there's a tiny little plug, which probably should have plugged in before I stuck it down. Oh, that's going to be tricky. One moment. Okay, top tip. Put the plugs in before you stick the speakers down, because otherwise it makes it pretty tricky. But there we go, that's in. So that's going to stick roughly there. So we've got stereo left and right speakers are in. That's superb. Let's have a look at this little toolkit then. What have we got going on here? So there are the sort of extenders, and these are the feet. There's some sort of magnetic strip. I'll have to see how that works. Not entirely sure, but this is a cut piece of acrylic. So I'm assuming that. Let's have a look. This is probably really obvious, and I'm just being really stupid, but something like that anyway. So let's put the standoffs that we need so we can fit a Pi board. Okay, so oh, they've all got a little they've got a little protective, there we are. Actually got a little protective coating, little plastic protective coating on top. Okay, so we've taken the protective tops off, so now we should be able to just screw these extenders in, which I think we can do just to make them finger tight. There we go, so they're now on. Let's just move that out of the way. And we should be able to take, in this case, we'll use a Raspberry Pi 4. And that now sits really nice. And then we've got these little screws here, and they've supplied us with a little screwdriver. And we can actually fix our Pi board straight in. That's one in. Probably best to do the one over here next. So there is the Raspberry Pi 4 actually now fitted very securely to the back of the unit. And now what we need to do is we need to interface it. So if we turn around here, you'll see we've got the HDMI socket. You can just see that there of the display. And then we've got the twin micro HDMIs that the Pi 4 uses. So we've got this Pi 4B packet here. And we've got these two little connectors. So this one you can clearly see is mini to full-size HDMI. So I'm guessing that will just plug between the two boards. There we go. And that now links the Pi into the device. Around this side we've actually got a USB connector, and that's if we wanted to plug our touchscreen interface. If we're going to use the touchscreen, we could interface in like so, and then the various Linux builds would see this as a touch interface. I'm not going to use that today for various reasons. Now, a little word on power. How we're going to power the device. Well, we've got here a USB micro to full size. Do that. There we go. So what we could do is we could put the power in here, and we could either go to an external USB source, or we could actually just, if we've got enough power through the Raspberry Pi, we should be able to power the whole device straight off the Pi board, which means we only now need one power transformer, being the standard USB-C power transformer, which I have here, which the Raspberry Pi uses. So that should be fine. Let's just see if I can get these feet to work. Ah, right, I'm being an idiot. Ignore me. Okay, that makes complete sense. So, what you do is there's actually a screw hole. Let's just show you this. So there's a screw hole straight through, and I don't know why I couldn't figure that out. Right. So that goes over like that, more or less, over these holes here. So we need to take the protective covers off the top of these. You want these at a slight angle, sloping back that way. And if we take, we've got these two very long screws, so we can feed that screw through the piece of acrylic material. And with the tool they've supplied us with, naturally, there we are, secured that in place. It's actually quite an elegant way of doing it. It just didn't make sense to me straight away until I sort of saw the bigger picture. So let's do the same on the other side. And then the unit will actually freestand at a slight slope. That's really secure, and that's going to create a perfect little monitor. Okay, so next thing we've got to do is we need to make a few changes. I've got the labels coming off. I've got a Raspberry and Linux on micro SD card. We'll pop that into an adapter. Up here, so we've got a standard micro SD to standard SD card adapter. We'll pop that in my Mac. You could use a PC or Linux, and we'll just make a couple of changes to the config.txt file. So let's just put the SD card into the Mac. As I said, you can use Windows PC, whatever you want. And there was the boot directory, which we're just going to open. And inside we will find a config.txt file. So we've opened the file, and just going back to look at the instruction manual, it gives some quite clear details in the back about what it suggested we did set up for. So, and it's all to do with HDMI mode. So HDMI mode, it suggests we switch to group 2. Mode, it's suggesting 87. So yeah, so we're going to go to group 2. We need to force the hot plug. It's saying yes, we do. Config HDMI boost. Boost needs to equal 7. HDMI group 2 drive HDMI drive. Oh, there it is. Drive equals 2. That is correct. Display rotation needs to equal 0. And then it has a HDMI CVT file at the very end, which again I don't see, so we'll put in HDMI underscore CVT 1024/600. That will be the resolution. And 60, 6, and 0, 0, 0. Right, that should be the settings that we need. So let's eject our boot. Okay, again, you can see me on the screen, but here is the slightly modified SD card for Linux. So we'll take that out and we'll put this into the back of our device. There we go. That's in. So the SD card is in. And on the back of the unit, all we've got left to do now is to put our Raspberry Pi power supply, which is the official Raspberry Pi supply and USB-C. And that will go into the back of the unit, into the Raspberry Pi board there. So we'll turn this around. We can get that in such a way that it's not going to be so reflective. Power up. Let's see what happens. Okay, so far so good. That's looking promising. Okay, there we go. There is a desktop. Oh, look at that. And we've got volume. So I just nudged, I think, as I moved. Oh, there we're here. There's the volume control on the side, which is nice. Let me just plug a mouse in. If I'd fitted the touchscreen interface, put the drivers up, we could have actually had this as a proper touchscreen, but not to worry. Let's just pop this into the back. So USBs are over this side, obviously. Remember, we're doing this all from just one Raspberry Pi power transformer. Again, I've got quite a bit of reflection in the room, but there we are. Okay, I've tried to minimise the amount of reflection. It's actually, you don't really notice it in person, it's just the camera's picking it up quite well, but in person you wouldn't notice. So let's just go to a web browser. Again, that, you know, it is a really, really nice screen, and even when you sort of look at it from the edge, it's still viewable. It doesn't do what a lot of them do. I just realised I could probably do with a keyboard in this as well if we're going to go anywhere. Okay, I've just plugged the keyboard in, so youtube.com/PiSheep. Because of course, where else do you want to go on the internet? Just move the mouse cable out of the way. There we go. Hello everybody, how are you doing? Merry Christmas and welcome to Wi-Fi Sheep right here on YouTube with me, Tom. I hope you're ready for a month of festive fun right here on the channel. And we're going to start with a mysterious package that has been sent to me over 2 months ago, and I've only now just got round to looking at it. Here it is. It's still in its sealed packing material.
Let's just go
now,
full screen.
I know what it is, and I've kind of ruined the surprise of this if you've read the description to this video, because you now know what this is.
That's actually not bad at all.
This was sent to me by Simon Pryatt, all the way from Birmingham, sort of central England, and it's the first time anyone has actually sent me a retro machine to have a look at and keep. So, huge thank you to Simon. Now, there was a few issues with this machine that I was aware of, so we'll look at that in more.
So, yeah, that actually works really well with the Raspberry Pi, if that's what you wanted to do.
Okay, so we've seen it run really successfully with a Raspberry Pi 4, and I love the way the thing fits together. It's superb. But what about actually trying to use it as a generic HDMI monitor with another device, such as a game console or computer? Well, I've got the perfect computer. If you follow me on the channel regularly, you'll know that we've been doing some work again with the C64 clone Commodore 64 computer from 2019, and I just wondered, as that outputs HDMI at 720p, would it work with the Wimaxit 7-inch display? Let's find out.
Okay, so for the next test, I've taken all the cables, including the power cable, out of this monitor. I have left the Pi in on the back, but it shouldn't power up. For the minute, I've left the HDMI link in as well, just because I want to do an experiment. So, we'll put the monitor there, and we'll try it with an external device, something we don't have as much control over, such as the modern C64 or the C64 clone computer system, which is a HDMI-based 32-bit computer that pretends and mimics to be the classic 8-bit system. You can tell it's modern because it has USB and HDMI. Let's grab the official cable that came with our display. Here we go. I'll take the ends off of that. Just unravel this. And again, we're just experimenting now. So let's see what happens if we plug one end into here. And let's try the other end into the HDMI of the display. The display will need power, so there's this USB power that we used before, and we've got a spare USB here on the back of the C64, and let's put this into power, which is that socket there. Now, I don't know if there's going to be enough amps in the system for this to work, but let's find out. So what we're going to do now is just grab the power supply, which we were using to power the C64. Okay, I've got here a, meant to be for a Raspberry Pi actually, it's not an official supply, but it's a 5 volts 2 amp supply. So let's just pop that into the C64. Make sure we've got the cable out the back. So let's see if there's actually enough power to do this. And the monitor's powered up, the C64's powered up. Now, will this work? It will. And there we go. And that actually looks really good, actually. So a reminder, this whole thing is powering off a single power transformer from the C64, which is not a Pi unit in any way, shape or form. And I can hear the sound, which is sounding really good. And let's go to carousel mode. And I'm trying to think of a game we can play. I apologise for the noisy controller. But we can just turn the volume up. But that's all working really well. There we go. I'm useless, but that doesn't matter. We've got this tiny little display that works really, really well. It supports the sound. It doesn't need its own power supply. It's quite capable of powering off USB voltage given out by another device. It's HDMI compatible. And yeah, I have to say I'm generally really impressed. Just as a quick bonus before we finish, I've now been able to put the monitor up on top of the C64 and it works absolutely fine up here. And I've got loaded here on the screen. This is the GeOS operating system that we were playing with in a previous video. And it actually works really, really well on the small display. I have to say I'm really, really impressed with the Wimaxit monitor system. What a superb high quality monitor. It works really, really well, and to be honest with you, I have a million and one uses for something like this. So there we go. That was the Wimaxit M728 7-inch touchscreen HDMI display for Raspberry Pi and other devices. Brought to you by today's sponsor, AndyCine.com. Great product. Great value as well. It is real good quality, and as I said to you, I already have a use case. If I'd had this product a week earlier, I could have used it when I was out working and I needed to plug a Raspberry Pi in a hotel room where they'd locked the television out. I needed a display. I didn't have one. It would have been perfect. I'm also thinking going forward next year, we've got a couple of shows and some very sort of light events to be doing, COVID pending, obviously. And one of those is going to be in Liverpool, which will be in the city centre. And I don't think there's going to be much in the way of parking or transport. So it'd be great if I could just put a few devices into a backpack and then I can take those in and set up and it going on foot. I don't need to crate boxes around. It also means I wouldn't even need to drive. I could just go on the train or something. It's fantastic. And that's just one use case. Another one, I don't know, maybe if you work with computers or servers and you need to get a display out of one very quickly, there's a perfect opportunity. If you have third-party adapters, I don't see why it wouldn't work with VGA or composite video. So it opens up a huge amount of possibilities of what this product could do. I love the fact it's got sound. That's a big one. I've seen so many of these displays and they don't support sound, so that's a huge plus. I want to say a huge thank you once again to AndyCine.com. If you look in the links in the description to this video, there's various Amazon links depending on where you are in the world, and there's also a direct link to AndyCine.com so you can get the latest local prices for this product. I highly recommend it. I'm going to be using this product again and again and again. I just want to say a huge thank you to them. It's well worth checking out. If you haven't done so already, please do like and subscribe to us here on Wi-Fi Sheep. Got lots coming up in the brand new year. Until then, thank you so much for your company and bye for now.